All right, welcome back to another Wright Stewart podcast. I am Paul Stewart.
I am Brian Wright, and we're on Sunday morning. Easy like Sunday morning right here, Paulie.
Easy like Sunday morning. Yeah, beautiful. What a great song. Yeah. They had that. Do you remember the NFL commercial with that on there? It,
Yes,
so
yes,
it was the
yeah.
guy, it was Eddie George like kind of geared up for the game. And then it showed this guy just gearing up like in his living room, like getting the guacamole
Like
ready.
he was getting ready. He's getting his food
He's
ready, and
getting his
Eddie George
game
getting ready
day
to go to
ready, and Eddie
battle.
George, and then Eddie George is like doing a spin move, and then the guy's like carrying a bowl of chips, and he's like avoiding a kid running past him. But it had that song to it, so I mean, it made it better. So
Well, that song is such a classic, such a classic. We had the Kentucky Derby yesterday,
we
Paulie.
did.
Did you partake in the viewing action?
I watched I watched one of the earlier races, and it was a messy track. I don't know. I don't remember anybody's name of the race. I remember there was like four horses. It was like a photo finish, and a horse won, but super sloppy track. When the Derby was actually going on, I was actually at the playground, the park down the street with my son and daughter. So missed it. Did see Sovereignty one. It looks like
I
so.
think so. I think so. All I can think of is the Seinfeld episode. Kramer is in there betting, and he's talking about mutters. Hey, she's a mutter,
Yeah,
and so it feels like it's gonna be hard to have the triple, right? Because generally horses that run well in the mud don't run well in the dry, and the
okay.
different tracks that they got to go to with the Preakness and everything else.
You sound like an
And
expert, Brian.
I'm not, but I have some. I have a little bit of
But I've seen that
diversity
episode
in
of
my sports.
Seinfeld, so
Hey,
I'm
but
sure.
I will say this: it's really the only thing I know is Seinfeld. But did you hear all the horses in the Kentucky Derby were related to one horse? Did you hear that?
Incest, a lot of incest.
Well, just a lot of breeding, Secretariat.
Secretary, what a stud. What?
Yeah, yeah. Clearly,
Literally,
somebody.
literally.
Yes, that's what I was getting ready to go. A lot of money paid for winning Kentucky Derbies.
Yeah, where I don't understand. Where does that money like how do they get that money? Like, oh, this horse makes is there a lot of money in horses that we're missing out on?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'll say this. Obviously, everything, a lot of it comes back to sponsorship, but it is the breeders, right? So when they get done, you win a Kentucky Derby, you win a couple of the major races. You're talking for artificial insemination somewhere between $100 and $250,000
Oh, geez.
for, yeah. And even if you do well, you may talk in, say, what's it called? Show or place when you finish in the
Win
top three
place
and all
show.
those.
Yeah, win place show.
Um, you may be 10, 20, $50,000 for those guys. And so I
Jeez.
don't think I may have been a little high on those original numbers, but 50 to 100,000. I mean, it is the money is. I mean, you've been to Kentucky.
I have recently.
You saw? Did you go anywhere near any of the beautiful big barns and stables up there?
No, no, we were on the highway for the most part. Then in
There is money. It almost makes you think of like drug lords, right? I mean, it's
course.
just the other big thing is that one trainer was I can't think of his name. I'm
Yeah.
not that diverse. He was suspended for 3 years because he was doping horses. His first race back, they said they gave him his barn back. They put all his decor that he likes back. I feel like some of these trainers are almost like they're like a half a step from like a rapper. Just kind of got their own style. They kind of fade in and out of styles depending on what your flavor is. And obviously horse racing, steroids and horse racing go together almost more than 2001 baseball and steroids. I mean, and so it's just been a
Balco, yeah.
notorious doping type situation for years and years and years. And even Secretariat, when he died, his heart, everybody was like, man, his heart was 3 times the size of a normal horse's heart. Well, that's because the horse did a bunch of steroids. I mean, no different than humans. The heart is the muscle. The heart grows because of the steroids. It's
Yeah.
just you can't have certain levels during testing times. And so it's really an interesting sport. I know some people who hate it just because it does float on the edge. But hey,
A lot
if
of the
you
PETA
win,
people, yeah, the PETA people don't like it, I don't think.
yeah, and I'm not a big fan of the PETA people. I mean, I like eating cow and chicken and animals in general, but
Yeah.
I would say if you are a winner, you have a good life set up, and if you're not a winner, maybe turn into dog food at some point.
So have you? Have you ever been to a horse race, Brian?
Just in, I went to dog. I may have went to something in Florida. I can't remember. I know we were betting horses one time we were in Florida, but I think
At
we
the
were
track, or you were
just
like off site though?
no. We were at a track.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had, yeah. I've been to Florida and done it. Yeah.
Was it horses or dogs though? Because I've been to the dogs down there too.
Well, I've done the dogs. I'm trying to remember. I think we may have been betting horses at the dog track. You know, you had those little screens. I think that's what we were doing. And in my mind, it's been 20 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. In my mind, I think I was just betting horses at the dog track.
Yeah. So we went in Phoenix. There's a horse track, and a guy named Jim Miller, from Greater Chicago area. Jim Miller was a big fan of horses, horse racing. Actually, did some stuff at the tracks in Chicago. I don't know if they're in Chicago or suburban Chicago. Worked there. Would be on like the closed caption TV or the closed circuit TV at the tracks talking about the race, and he knew about the horses, when they turned it on, all the stuff that I don't know about. So one day they said, "Hey, they're running some races." I guess none of us were pitching that day, so we went, and he got us. He knew the guy like up in the booth who's like, "And around the stretch they come," and Brian Wright runs through Old Biscuitville, that sort of thing. But the guy who was calling it there was actually the guy who called it at the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, that is cool.
So I got to sit in the booth and listen to him, and it was amazing. And it's probably, just like we talk about baseball and could spout out stats and stuff. They're probably like, oh, it's just second nature for that. But to me, I was like, oh my gosh, that was so cool to hear him just call it
Oh,
like that. And
hey, was he a small person? Like all those jockeys.
no, well, who, Jim?
Yeah.
No,
I
he
was
was a
just curious
baseball
if he
player.
came
No, he
from
was a
a.
baseball player. He was taller than me, actually. One of the
No,
tall.
not Jim. His buddy who was doing the announcing.
Oh no, he was just a regular guy. He was like a sports enthusiast. Like he was a announcer. He wasn't. No, he wasn't a jockey.
Well, you think about those jockeys, how small they are. You're talking
Oh, the guy I
110,
was reading. Yeah,
115
I was
pounds.
watching those guys. They're like 110, 115 pounds. Just
Yeah. So you're talking 5'2", 5'3", 5. I mean, smaller, and those guys get feisty too. Yeah. It's really interesting though. I mean, the sport in itself that it has had this much longevity is kind of odd. I'm not really Portnoy. You know, he bets on everything,
yeah.
and he says you always bet the Grays. You always bet the Grays. Um, but it's maybe if I had a lot of excess cash, I don't know. I would rather go play blackjack than bet the horses. So I mean, I just feel like it's
I'd rather do pretty much anything else than bet on
Oh, hey,
horses.
I want to tell you this. I saw this on Instagram.
Okay.
So this guy he's eaten Big Macs for almost 50 years, 60 years straight. He's eaten like 35,000 Big Macs.
Like every day?
Yeah, sometimes twice a day. He averaged like 14 Big Macs. He's eating them.
Was he the guy? Was he the guy that was on Super Size Me?
I think he was on maybe not super, a version of that. He's
Okay.
eating them. He's getting ready to be 71, or he is 71. So I think he's eating them for like 50 years, 50, maybe a little bit longer.
Okay.
But I was going to tell you, I guess there was a little bit of subliminal. I had my first Big Mac maybe in like 25 years yesterday.
Really?
When's the last time you had a Big Mac? Like a true Big
Like,
Mac from McDonald's?
like last week?
Oh, really? So you do get the Big Mac?
I love the Big Mac. Yeah, it's I'm a quarter pounder Big Mac guy. Those are my go-tos.
That's interesting. I've
If
literally haven't had one in 25 years.
if we're going in to sit down at the restaurant, probably a Big Mac. If we're in the car, probably a quarter pounder or a double quarter pounder for the big boy. Um, the Big Mac's just a little sloppy in the car, the lettuce and the
I ate it in the car. I did enjoy it. It did fall a little apart, but I
yeah.
kept all the buns mostly together.
What'd you think? Were you happy about it?
I was. You tasted that Thousand Island. It came through the dressing that they put on their special sauce.
Yeah.
I would give it a solid. It's a solid B. Solid B. I'm 80, probably 80% of the time. I'm some version of a chicken sandwich at fast food restaurants, whether it be Wendy's, obviously Chick-fil-A, or
Yeah.
McDonald's. McDonald's, they put some special poison in there, man. Their hamburgers are really good, though. Really good
Yeah.
hamburgers.
So I've heard you can order off menu as well and get the Big Mac with the quarter pounder patties.
Mm.
I use the app anytime I order, so I don't think that's an option on there, but maybe special menu. I mean, If anybody's out there
Yeah.
trying, send us a message. Let us know if that's what that's all
Well, I
about.
have heard of that off menu stuff, and like you catch it right there when breakfast is changing over to lunch.
Oh yeah,
You get like a Big Mac with a bacon, egg, and cheese on the top side and a burger on the bottom side.
you bad like a fried egg on top of the Big Mac.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know they do that in some restaurants. I like a fried egg on a cheeseburger. I like
Dude,
pimento cheese on a
do you?
cheeseburger.
I'm making pimento cheese today. Did you have you had fried eggs
On burgers?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of restaurants that will do that, and they'll do like matter of fact, I've had bacon and egg on a cheeseburger. They call it like the sunrise a lot of times.
I
Yeah,
do. I mean,
yeah.
I do it all the time here. If I'm making hamburgers, I'll just fry myself an egg real quick.
Oh, that's sunrise. Yeah, I don't do it at home as much.
That's super
But
easy.
yeah,
The first time I ever had fried egg on a hamburger, I was in Venezuela playing winter ball, and they don't have like when you're on the road, like going. So I was in Caracas, right? So it's the capital. There was some stuff around, but you go to some of these other cities, and you're like, there's not like gas stations and McDonald's like on the way like there are here, and you're driving on some country roads, and you're stopping at these places that are I don't even know how to describe them, but they're just like kind of open air restaurant. It's not like convenience stores at all, but just you can get some stuff there. And so we stopped at this place and they had like a grill and they're cooking, everybody's getting order stuff. And there was like nothing close to English being spoken. And there was I had a guy who knew bilingual. I said, "Hey man, order me a hamburger." He's all right. He spouts it off and he comes back and it's a patty. It's got a slab of ham on it, like spiral ham, like ham. It's got a fried egg, lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise.
sounds pretty good.
Well, I was 23, I guess, and had never seen anything like this. I'm like, dude, what? Like, I said, what are we doing? What is this? He goes, what do you mean? He goes, what else do you want on it? It's got ham, egg, lettuce, tomato. I'm like, I was like, no, I don't want the ham and the egg. I've never heard of this.
Did you eat it?
Oh yeah, I ate it and it was amazing. And it was so that was my like initial introduction.
Introduction to eggs on hamburgers.
Yeah, I was like, oh, here we go. I'm gonna try this one.
Yeah, I'm a big. Yeah, I like it, dude. It's good. It's good. I'll tell you what I don't like though. Right now, Paulie, I'm seeing trends in baseball, especially college baseball. I watch a lot of it. Just goes for the ESPN. I'm not a fan of the trend. If you're not going to wear your sunglasses, putting them on the back of the hat. I am a not a fan of that. Serves no purpose. It's almost like
Would you want them on the top, on the front, like over the bill?
I mean, if for some reason there's a chance that you would need them, I don't mind them there. Or if you take them off in the middle of the inning where the suns went down, I don't mind you putting them on the top of your hat. I don't like you starting the inning with them on the back of your hat. You can't do anything with them. Um, it's
Yes.
almost like a bird that the bird's trying to get you to look at them. Not for anything that you're doing cool. Not like the falcon. They're not doing anything cool. They just want you to look at them because
It's a
they wear
peacock.
their glasses cool. It would, I think, honestly, if I saw a kid in high school, he would have to be second stud if he wore that kind of stuff. You put glasses on the back of hat, you put oven mitts, and then pants above knee with skin showing.
Just cross them off.
You would have to be a draft pick before I would even talk to you as a college recruiter. It is so ridiculous. You just look at me, please. Yeah,
But we had a when I was with the Brewers, they had a rule. So they had team issued the flips that we've talked about.
I really like it.
The
We
flips.
did too.
They were team issued that, and the trainer had them. They brought them out and they had them in a case and they took care of them. There was a rule though that if you had glasses, you could not cover your team's logo.
Mm.
So it was like you said, you either wore them or you didn't wear them, or you put on flips where you could kind of do
I
both.
was actually a big fan of flips. The flips are almost like welder's glasses. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could weld and it would protect your retina.
They're
Like
so
you got to
sharp.
wear the big welder's mask.
Yeah,
Dude, you could look into the sun and see the ball come out with
those things
those.
are amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
those were the
yeah.
best. What? Let's bring those back. Let's make them just look a little better.
I agree. I feel like they're much more. Yeah, I agree. Practical, useful. I think you could probably do some upgrade, like you just mentioned, the styling,
Yeah.
but
When I was
would
a kid,
actually.
when I was a kid watching Big League, I thought that was like the epitome of cool. Like I remember seeing Ryan Sandberg wear them. I'm like, oh man, if I could ever wear some flips in a game, I will. Man, I will be a stud. Like I have made it. And then Yeah, I get the Pro Bowl. I would wear them in the dugout as a pitcher because it was bright. Yeah, whatever. And the
All
pitcher,
right. And
like,
so the next thing I'm hating right now.
let's do it.
Wolfpack taking two L's from Miami.
Yeah.
Not good. They've on such a good streak. Swept Clemson last week, and I had a couple of people texting me and saying like, "Dude, what's up with the Wolfpack? What's up?" And I was like, obviously you're frustrated because college baseball is different. Pro, the season's not as long. It's much more emotional. But the reality is, it's just baseball. You know, sometimes you get on these streaks where the ball finds the right hole, your guy making the plays just a step quick enough.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. You know, we talked a little bit yesterday about being superstitious and how easy it is to become that way, and it's because there's such little small things that happen that cause big results,
Oh yeah.
and it's just baseball. You know, there's nothing. You won 10, 11, 12 games. I think there were 11 out of 12 before Wilmington taking the L to Wilmington, and now they're getting ready to lose three in a row. And it's kind of just baseball, man. You get on the right streak, you can beat anybody. You get on the wrong streak, and get beat by a lot of teams.
And when you're in the ACC, it's not like you're playing slouches. It's not like Miami's a
No.
bad team. And Coral Gables is traditionally not an easy place to play either. So I mean, it's not great, but again, you're not losing to the school of the deaf and the blind over there. So
100%. And they've redone their stadium, dude. It's beautiful. At least it looks like it on TV. I haven't been there, obviously, in a long time, but their fan base isn't maybe as I was watching. Texas was playing Arkansas. They look like they have 12,000 strong. I mentioned this to you. The Arkansas mound, at least from the TV version, I don't know exactly. You probably know the rules. How high can the mound actually be?
it's supposed to be 10 inches.
Most of them are higher than that, right? Wouldn't you say that?
It's
Like if
supposed
you're
to be,
taking the
it's supposed to be
flatness.
10 inches from the plate. So wherever the surface of the plate is, because at NC State, Doak feels like it's a mountain. But
Yes, yes. And so that's kind of what I'm used to seeing. A lot of those similarities.
but I think
And,
Doak's field slopes. It used to slope, so the mound. I haven't been on it in a while, like, but
yeah, I mean, the mound still looks hard. I was watching Arkansas, and their mound looks like it probably is 10 inches. It actually looked like 8 inches.
eh,
I mean, it was, I mean,
while they're hitting
just
the ball.
barely a little bump. And then it made me think about, I read recently to where the mound not only does it create that angle, more
Yeah.
angle, harder to hit, but literally off of that mound, you create 4 times as much force as you can off a flat ground.
Ooh.
And that made me think that there's a pretty big. They were talking about during the game how much higher the averages were for the Arkansas hitters at home versus on the
Okay.
road. As a team at home, they're hitting like 347 as a team at home.
Pretty good.
And then on the road, like 237. So you think maybe there's something to do. I think there's something to do with that mound. I mean, there was a.
Fair.
I'm not through one. I turned it off, but Texas was up. I mean, Texas was down in the night, like I don't know, 12 or 13 to 9 or 10, and so I assume Arkansas probably figured out a way to get it done. But mounds and home field advantage seem to
Yeah.
make a huge difference. I'll say this too: NC State right now is one of those teams that plays so much better at home than they do away. It's kind of odd. You never think of, without a whole lot of fan like interaction or atmosphere. And again, NC State has good atmosphere, but it's not like you're playing in front of 50,000 people either way.
3,000 maybe.
Yeah, yeah, 3 or 4,000. And so it's just interesting that you can have such a disparity in results from home to away with a program.
Well, some of it's sleeping in your own bed, being comfortable, just knowing the batter's box, knowing the mound, just being. I don't know. The things that made differences for me pitching at home and on the road. So again, at home, you know the lay of the land. On the road, sometimes those first few pitches, and it's typically the warm up pitches on the real rubber on the stadium. You're kind of getting your depth perception because some backstops are closer than others. Some are And pro ball, they're all plus minus 5, 10 feet or so. But you're gaining that depth perception. You're just kind of getting a feel for everything.
So you felt like the depth of the backstop had an impact on you mentally as a
Oh,
pitcher.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Because just like we talk about shooting a free throw, same thing. You kind of got to get your bearings straight. And unfortunately, in baseball, you get your warm up pitches out there to kind of. In basketball, you're just shooting free. I guess you can do it in warm ups. It's a little different, but it's yeah. So some of that matters. And when there's a backstop that's closer, feels like he can throw a little hard for just whatever mental reason.
That's
And like, some
interesting.
of it's like the echo, like you're getting a little more echo off the back wall there. It's like, "Pah!" You're like, oh well, I'm bringing it today. And then so there's a little bit, but I was never really affected home or road sort of thing. I guess the bigger difference once you get into higher levels is, at home you typically just have a little better routine. You eat a little better food. You're kind of cooking for yourself, where you have a place you like to go. We talked about routine and superstition
Yeah.
yesterday. And on the road, the closest and only thing to eat may be a Wendy's or a Subway. Yeah, and then you're kind of sitting in your hotel all day, just like what do I do? You're thinking about the game and that kind of stuff. So I think those are the bigger difference, at least from a starting pitcher's perspective. Yeah, I think for
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
players
And
who are out there
obviously, from
doing
a
this stuff.
hitter's perspective, his backdrop was the big thing, and then
Yeah,
how far something was back behind the outfield had to impact over your depth perception. It
yeah,
took time, but yeah, it's just interesting. It's interesting.
yeah.
Mound heights
And back
and
and
just
backdrop.
differences in a
Well,
home and
Brian,
away.
you've talked about a couple things you didn't like. Let me tell you about something that I liked that happened yesterday.
Okay.
So went to see my daughter play. They're playing their conference tournament for her college. Ended up losing, so their season's over, eliminated. So I don't like that. But what I did like is we drove through Ramsewer and I stopped at Brian's. Was it your first place of employment?
Well, first official, I worked on a farm
First,
from the time I
okay,
was
first
7, 8 years
real
old.
job where
Yeah.
you got to pay. Stopped at the biscuit company. So I was riding home or riding back home with my parents, and they're loyal. So thanks mom and dad for being loyal listeners. So they listen every day. And I said, look, hey, there's where Brian worked. And they're, oh, Brian, I remember him talking about the biscuit company. They were so excited about it. And
So, what time of day did you get your?
they,
Obviously, I know you got food. What time of day did you get food?
it was about 12:30, about 12:30.
So a
So
little bit later, probably better earlier. It sets out for a little while.
biscuits were good, man. Nice and buttery, a little
Did you get a big one?
salty.
They do large and small.
I got a large and a small. I got a small bacon and a large sausage biscuit.
Tenderloin's really good there too, I must say.
Yeah,
Tenderloin.
my dad got a country ham biscuit and my mom just got a plain biscuit, I think, or an egg biscuit maybe. Everything was delicious. It was amazing. The thing that was really amazing though is when we walked in and there was like employee of the month, Brian Wright, 1998. That was
Greatest of all time. You know
no,
what was
nothing
so
like
great about
that.
that job, Paulie? Was you could get there early. And when I was working on a farm, my brother was a much tougher person than I was, or maybe whatever his perspective was. I didn't never feel like I could go work outside all day, then go perform baseball wise and go play
Yeah,
Legion. So the idea was, hey, I'm get here. You had to get there at 5:30, or maybe a little bit earlier. I think I opened at 5:30,
gonna make the biscuits.
and then you would be off by 2 or 2:30, and then you go home and chill for an hour, and then you go to the ballpark or whatever you had to do, and you weren't tired from
But
getting beat
you
out
were
of
in
the
air
house.
conditioning. I mean, you're doing some work. You're up on your feet a little bit, but I imagine it's one of those places that around like 5:45, 6 a.m. there's probably a few dozen old folks in there getting their
Yeah.
coffee, getting their morning.
Hey, one of the lessons I learned about how to treat people. One time I was making food, and it's like 5:45 in the morning,
Yeah.
and I don't even remember. I think I was doing it right. So I'm 16 years old, and I'm doing right. And some hillbilly, and again I'm a hillbilly, but some hillbilly calls me a blonde in disguise back there as I'm making food,
Huh.
and it's like what an insult. He said, "What are you doing back there? You're a blonde in disguise." And he was kind of half joking. I think maybe I put something on wrong, or maybe it had gotten, there was a little thing that printed out the orders,
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
and it hit me. And he said it so nonchalant, and I kind of laughed it off in the moment. But the rest of that day, I got madder and madder and madder thinking about being called a blonde in disguise. Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's so did you take that to the game? Take it to your at bats that night? You're just
I think I did. I had a pretty good. I did pretty well as far as being able to channel stuff, especially
yeah.
as I got older. Definitely by the time I was 16, 17
You
years
saw that
old.
guy's face on the ball coming in. Like,
Yeah, yeah, definitely being able to think that because I don't know, probably most people are like this, but like when I like feel that emotion, you kind of feel like your adrenaline kick. I felt like
yeah.
even retelling that story, I felt a little bit of something even in this older body. I was like, I'd like to see what that guy's doing now.
Hey, let me give you a couple observations from the game yesterday. I want to get
Yeah,
your opinion. So so I was sitting next to my dad and we were just kind of chatting all game. First pitch of the game looked like it was right at the knees. And my dad umpired for a long time, and pitch was right at the knees. Umpire called it a ball. And I asked him, I said, "Hey, like like how is it as an umpire when there's a first pitch that's kind of like right on the border?" Like he's like, "Man, if he's like, because that guy called it a ball. He's like, if you call it a ball, then you kind of set yourself up for that being a ball the rest of the game. Unless you get one immediately back and you call it a strike, and then you kind of change the zone a little bit. But he called it a ball, and he did not call anything at the knees for the first couple innings, and then he started calling it for a couple innings, and then went back to not calling it. So it was not the most consistent strike zone I've seen, but it was an interesting because it was. And I said, man, well, like he's like, yeah, it's tough. Like you've got to like those tough. Like you like to be at kind of down the middle first pitch, so you can just kind of, as an umpire, at least kind of get your bearings straight too. So pretty
I'll
interesting.
say this: we've run into, just because our middle school team, and finish your story after this, not
No,
to
it's like, yeah, yeah,
interject, but I say we've run into those situations and very tight zone because we have a couple of kids that can really throw it low 80s, probably as middle schoolers. Just and so the mitt is really popping early,
yeah,
and it feels like they make the zone extremely tight the first inning or two. And then as velocity starts to fade a little bit, it opens up, what changes, kind of your perspective as a hitter.
yeah.
And then if we bring in somebody else who's not, because we're fortunate, we do have probably three kids that are really got a chance to be really special. But most teams don't. Most
No,
most teams have one kid that can
most
kind
teams
of.
have half of one of those kids probably. Yeah,
That's right. That's exactly right. And so, and then all of a sudden the zone gets huge, and I don't know.
I
I've
don't like
umpired
that.
a little bit. Here's what I know. I've umpired a little bit. I'm terrible at it because you would think I'm much better in the dugout. I'm much base coaching first or third base and having a. I feel like my zone's better there than it is when I'm behind the
Yeah,
plate because, like you said, depending on what age group, I feel like I could do college really well because I'd set it and be very tight. But
yeah.
when you're at lower levels, you do feel like you need to be
A
a little
ball
bit
or two off the
subjective
plate. Yeah, you
to
got to
keep
keep the
it moving.
game. Yeah, you got to keep the
Yeah.
game moving. Can't have a walk fest. So yeah, so that was interesting. Just how like, and you think about that, like as a hitter, as a pitcher, you're trying to establish. Hey, umpires. I mean, they're another team out there, right? They're trying to establish things, and they're trying to get everything right, and they see like, and that's the other thing. My dad and I were talking. He's like, man, umpires are making literally the plate guys making hundreds of calls. The field guys are making a dozen or so calls. It's like, but if they get one wrong, it's the end of the world. He's
Oh
like,
yeah.
he's like, how many times do the coaches mess up? How many times do players not get a
100%.
like? Yeah, it's like,
100%.
dude, there's got to be more grace given to some of those, and
Well, there's been some advertisements on some of the games I've watched about how you treat umpires. And I think
probably
obviously
a direct reflection on you as a person. Just
I think that's essentially what it says, right? And I feel like
yeah,
we do pretty good. We do pretty good.
yeah, as
I'll say
coaches,
this.
yeah, you have perspective, right? Because if you yell at, we see the same umpires all the time. So I'm like, if I yell at one, there's no need to. Yeah, that's not going to help me in the next game. We've literally had umpires that tell us like, "Hey, we like you guys. These other guys over here, we don't like." Like we've literally had umpires tell us that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
they're
yeah, for
people, man.
sure.
They're
For
just they're
sure.
out there on weekends trying to get. Here's the other observation. So I don't know. There's two of the three umpires. So all male crew, but two of the three were black guys. We see a lot of black male umpires in college softball. We see a lot of that as well in our travel circuit,
Yeah.
but there's not as many black guys playing baseball. But they're out there umpiring. Not to say that they're not qualified, or anything, nothing like that. But it seems kind of odd that they're.
What are you trying to say, Paul?
And it's just weird that I don't see as many black guys playing, but we see a lot of them umpiring, and they may have played when they were younger. But
I
it's
think
just odd. I don't
the
know. It
obvious
was an
answer.
observation. I don't know what to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
of it.
I think the obvious answer is they got time for a side hustle.
Yeah, I mean, it's a side
Obviously
gig. Yeah, for
this
sure.
isn't their primary deal.
Yeah,
And dude, if you work your way up certain levels, you make a really good, it can be a
you
really
can make
good
a living.
second
Yeah,
job. Especially if you have a job that you can get out early on Fridays and maybe you get to a ballpark at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday. Dude,
yeah,
it's a great, great side hustle. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
the thing of it is, I don't know. I guess you can get better, but sometimes I think the right demeanor, not having the right, not going out there with an ego is I'm kind of big on. You see it a lot at the MLB level, where these umpires have such big egos, and it's like, dude, you don't even want to be noticed, right? You don't want to be noticed, and
Hey,
so
just get
that's
the call right, have conversations. I like those kind of guys. And sometimes they'll come to me, hey, I missed that one.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, and
oh,
I'm good with it
fine.
as long as it's not the one that causes us to lose. Don't tell me about that afterwards.
Yeah.
Hey,
Last one.
other observation you sent to me, which is pretty awesome. Your daughter, she went 7 for her last 7.
Yeah, she finished the season pretty strong. Yeah, so
How do you
she's doing pretty
lose?
good. She was
How
hitting
do you lose a game? Obviously, she was 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 her last game. How do you lose? What was the final score of that?
so she was 4 for 4. They lost 4-3. She had all three RBIs for the so she came up her first at bat with bases loaded and hit a single up the middle, got two RBIs. Next at bat hit a double off the wall, got another run in.
How
Um,
close was it? Did you think it was gone?
I thought it had a chance. It was right center field, hit the middle of the wall. Hit it good though. I saw it. She was as she was running first. She kind of put her fist up for a second.
So she thought it. Yeah,
She said, then she hustled on over to second. But and then next to it bat, I don't think she had a base run, but she got two singles up the middle again. So, but yeah, man, it's nice to finish strong like that. And she came to me after the game with tears in her eyes because it was the last game, and some of her senior buddies were literally
they're
their
gone. Yeah,
last game, and so she kind of crying for them a little bit, and she's a competitor, man. She goes out there and wants to win and wants to do best by her team, and she's like, man, I'd give away some of those hits if we could just keep playing.
yeah,
Uh,
for
yeah.
sure, man,
The
for
one
sure.
one
That's
other thing that happened during the game. Let me tell you, has this ever happened to you? So it was a inside pitch, ball comes in. It ends up being they call it hit the knob of the bat, and it was a strike. But the initial call by the home plate umpire was hit batter, and well, it took him a second because it kind of happened,
it's hard to see.
and yeah,
You
it's
know,
really hard. So our coach said, "Hey, was that? I think it hit the knob." So they went out and talked and said, "Yep, it hit the knob." So as a hitter, do you pull the old Derek Jeter, the old roll around, flop a little bit, or I thought about remember Rodney Dangerfield on Caddyshack? Oh, my arm! Like he's like, do you
I
pull?
don't know. I think probably depending on how I was going as a player at that time. College ball, I had some. I wanted to hit.
Yeah,
Pro baseball, I didn't scuffle a ton. I scuffled a little bit. Just didn't play long enough. I think I probably would have tried to sell it if I was scuffling. Um, I don't see how it doesn't happen a lot because it's really challenging. I mean, there's guys. We're watching the game, the NC State game. We were there. We're sitting back behind. Dude, kids are standing all over the plate, all over the plate. I mean, it is. It's really, really, really tough. I don't see how you make that call without a review.
yeah. When they get stuff around
Because
the hands, the forearm, the wrist,
yeah,
like
I'm not even sure what the rules are anymore, dude. You can, and some of these sweepers that you see in MLB, you've seen guys strike out and hit them. So I saw a guy strike out in the MLB, ball get to the backstop. Man, hit him too. Hit him, swing, ball to the backstop, and he gets to first base.
once it hits him, it should be a dead ball. I thought
But he swung first.
no,
It hit his
it's
back
still a
foot.
dead ball if it hits you.
They played it live. They played
Okay,
it live. Or the highlight that I saw. They played it live. And so he gets to first base. So I don't even know how they call it, but no, it definitely has happened. And it feels like maybe this style of swinging now is a more of a tendency to happen. And maybe as boys and girls get more velocity, you got to start earlier. And so, but no, I wanted to hit, man, unless felt like I was. Now you give me a dirty lefty, and I was scuffling a
it
little bit.
hit me. That's down the middle, Brian.
Maybe it hits my shoulder, and maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really. I'm not a big on floppers. I kind of
I
like the
I
game you
did
play
not
out.
I did not want to get hit by a pitch. I was actually telling my dad this one because somebody missed a bunt and or didn't get a bunt down and for our team today and a couple of the parents were like, come on, you gotta get that. And my dad's like, it's not that easy. I was like, I know. And I told him the story. I was my last year of pro ball. I was kind of going good and the manager's like, hey, if so Jorge Cortez was hitting in front of me. He goes, hey, if Georgie gets a hit, you're gonna stand and bunt. But if he gets out, we're gonna pinch hit for you. It was like the seventh inning. I was standing on deck like the dude was out there throwing like 96, 97. I'm like, Georgie, I love you, man, but I want you to strike out so bad right now. Please. Or just hit a missile at somebody. Just get out, George. Get out. Come on. Dude hits a single. So I get up there to bunt. I'm like, oh God. First pitch is like up and in. And you're kind of in a vulnerable position. I'm like,
Oh, very much so when you're bunting.
this is terrible. So I kind of next pitch, he throws me a fast kind of away. I get it off the end of the bat. And the way the line was set up, had the dirt cutout. The ball stayed in between the grass and the chalk line. And
Oh,
it was one of those ones where the hitter or the third baseman just kind of hovers over it and it never went foul.
oh, so you got a hit.
So now I can tell people I got a hit off somebody throwing 97. So
Oh, that's good. That's good. You've seen it and seen it real close.
yeah, it was terrible. It was I
Hey,
hated
get us out of
it.
here on that, man. That's awesome, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you know what? Make it a great Sunday. We appreciate you listening today. We look forward to checking in on you tomorrow, and we've got a fun athlete you should know tomorrow as well. So looking forward for that.
Out, go Pack, go Tigers.